Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining up with us. Thank you, Madam Joyce, for inviting me to your program. First of all, domestic violence and abuse is something that has eaten into the fabric of our society. It's so sad now that the statistics have it that 1 in every 4 marriages will end in a separation or divorce. By the second anniversary of the marriage, 1 in every 3 women will suffer domestic violence or abuse in the first year of their marriage. Sadly, 87% of divorces, separations, and domestic violence are from Christian marriages. And it seems that we Christians have a lot of things to learn. Why is it that the fact that you're a Christian makes your marriage more likely to fail than succeed?
Can I just butt in there before you go on? We know that the guest today was actually married, and I don't want to give too much. I want her to come and tell us her story herself. But we do know that the guest was she was married to a GO of the church. So what do you think is the issue with the church and abuse? What do you think is the key thing that is causing the problem with Christians or believers and the church?
Well, the Bible says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." It has always been.
You're muted. You've muted yourself.
Oh, wow, sorry. It has always been a matter of knowledge. The Bible says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge," not lack of prayer.
Okay, I think we've lost him. Okay, I think we've lost him. We'll just give him some time.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
We lost you for a minute.
Joy, I'm connected to Joyce. I'm connected to like 3 networks. Light went on one, so I just switched to the other quickly. You know, this is what I told you that I'm always afraid of.
I hear you.
Three different networks, only me. So the problem has always been knowledge. The Bible says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." We do not know how to choose. So we end up repeating the mistakes of those that have gone ahead of us. The major issue here also has to do with religion and tradition, religion and culture, where religion interferes with your right to choose, with your sense of choosing. Clinic with about 85, 86 women in the divorce clinic. And after talking to them, 81 out of about 86 said it was God that told them to marry their husbands. So that day, God became the singular factor responsible for the domestic violence they suffered in their marriages and the fact that they are now getting divorced. So God was the major factor. And this is where people miss it. They say, they look at a person instead of considering the character of a person. They go for the religion. You know, they say, we're from the same church. He's a pastor in my church. He's a worker in my church. He must be a good person. Yes. But you don't know that, you know, when we get to church, the people that come to church are not people that come from a different location. They are the same people you met outside. Yeah. They are the same people in your workplace. In fact, if you were to look briefly at the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 6, says, "And the sons of God came to worship God, and Lucifer, the devil, was also in their midst." And that was in heaven. So if the devil could go to worship God in heaven, what stops a witch from coming to church on earth? What, in the same church, you have cultists, you have armed robbers, you have ritualists, you have kidnappers, you have all kinds of people in church and as workers in the church. So there is a problem when it comes to choosing that Christians just look at, we are from the same church. Some churches even take it a step further. You can only marry from the church. You cannot marry from the outside. I had a client who, she called and said the marriage broke up because the pastor told the husband that he went to marry a wife from another church. So they would always have problems. And whenever they have issues and they go, the pastor will say, well, what did I tell you? You went to, eventually their marriage lasted 1 year, 6 months. So for Christians, it has always been the fact that we do not know how to choose.
And I remember, yeah, sorry, I just, as you were talking, I was just remembering. So, you know, and church puts a lot of pressure, I agree, because personally, I remember that when I was going through my own issues, I was told that I didn't pray enough and I wasn't fasting enough, and that if I did pray and fast enough, then these things wouldn't be happening to me. So I guess that's the sort of pressure that the church puts on you as a woman.
Yes. Oh, yes. And the funny thing is that women always are the receiving. I mean, between January and March, we buried 64 women lost to domestic violence in Nigeria, here in Lagos. Osinachi was number 65. I was the lawyer in that case as well, and I was one of the lawyers. And you find out that Osinachi had left the marriage. She separated from the man for 1 year, 3 months, but the pastor came and sent his brother to get her back, saying that, well, the man has said he won't do it again. They have talked to him. He wouldn't do it again. And, you know, that was how she was told to come back. And at the end of the day, we know she lost her life to that marriage. And now the pastor said he's no longer, that he didn't know. That was what he said, that he didn't know. They didn't tell him. Something everybody knew, even in church. So spiritualizing relationships, spiritualizing when you close your eyes to what you are seeing. A woman comes to you battered and bruised. A man comes to you, he's beginning to lose his sanity. He can't sleep, he can't. And then you tell them that, you know, don't worry, let us pray. It is a crime. Domestic violence and abuse is a crime in Nigeria. It's on that Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act of 2015. A person who batters his or her spouse is liable upon conviction to a term of 3 years imprisonment. It is a crime. But when the church and family and culture and tradition begin to cover up crimes, this is something you cannot do abroad. You can't even preach this abroad, that you tell her, don't worry, go back, we will pray about it. How do you tell someone to go back into abuse? And when you look at domestic violence and abuse, it's simply an act by another to control the other person. The essence of domestic violence and abuse is just for a spouse to take control over the decisions and actions of others. So I beat you because you don't agree with me. I want you to do it. It becomes an argument. You abuse them. How stupid. I don't blame you. It's like your mother too did not stay in that. You know, it gets to.
Okay, we keep losing Unlimited. Good morning, everyone that has just joined us. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're actually starting off the opposite way of how we normally start off. We start off with the victim, but our victim for today, survivor. Oh, sorry, go on.
They say no, it is courtship, but you don't understand the meaning of courtship. Dating, you need to know the character of a person. You'll find out that some people just say, well, I prayed and I felt peace. Someone told me that while I was in school, he had a dream. In the dream, he was kicking a stone, and then the stone rolled up to the sister Esther's feet. And when he woke up, the only possible interpretation of that dream was that God was telling him, Sister Esther is his wife. By the kicking of a stone in a subconscious state of a dream. So they got married. The marriage lasted less than 2 years. So these are the problems why there are more Christian failures in marriages, because number one, they do not date. You don't know if he's hot-tempered. All you do is, I've prayed and God said this is. And you know, you have some that even while they are still doing the courtship, they get into an argument and the man slaps her, or the woman shoves him. You would now say, well, I know he's hot-tempered, but we're praying about it. You know, he would change. You know, those destiny changers, Madam Joyce, that can change people.
So my question, Olumide, is why do you think, because it seems like we say 1 in 4 women have experienced abuse. Yes. I want to differ.
1 in 3. 1 in 3. That's what I'm going to say.
I actually want to believe 1 in 2. But why do we think it's on the rampant? I know the economy is really challenging for everybody right now. Not that that's an excuse for anybody to be abused, but it seems to be more rampant. So why do you think, just your personal views on why you think it's becoming more of a social pandemic?
The problem is it has always been, but it was not talked about. We did a statistic, a survey of people that were that got married by I think it was 1972. So those ones are great grandmothers now. And you found out that in the survey, 1 out of every 4 had to give up education, career, or ambition for marriage. 2 out of every 5 were abused physically. 4 out of 5 were abused emotionally. You know, you would hear them tell you, our great grandmothers, our grandmothers, that Tori omoni mo she duro mo mo iya ti mo je ntori yin. They are always reminding you that they suffered because of you. It has always been, but at that time there was no United Nations Treaty on Charter on Domestic Violence and Abuse. There were no NGOs fighting. There was no law, so you just had to suck it up, and it was a taboo to leave.
Yes, okay.
So it had always been. It is just now the event of social media and the fact that some NGOs are fighting against it. People are now speaking up. That is why you are now hearing. It has always been.
Great. Thank you. Okay, well, we're going to come back to you, of course. Good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Joyce. I'm the founder of DVALI, which is a platform for domestic violence. And today, our guest, our survivor, has finally joined us. And that was why we were talking about the legal aspects before we jumped. So I'd like to once again introduce our guest for today, our strong survivor. Her name is Mrs. Priscilla Chijioke. She's a mother of 3 children. She's a businesswoman. She enjoys music, and she's very instrumental. And she has anyway, I'll let her tell us her story as well, because I haven't heard it. So welcome, Priscilla, to DVALI, and you're very much welcome. Do you want to take yourself off mute? You're on mute. So I'm going to start the discussion by asking you just to tell us a bit about yourself, your background growing up.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Clearly, loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Vice Olumide. Good morning, Ayo. Nice to meet you. So, sorry for joining late.
That's fine. That's okay. I understand.
Yeah, Mrs. Priscilla Chijioke, melancholy by nature. One of my favorite colors is green. I love nature. I love exploring. I'm an instrumentalist. I'm a vocalist. I play the keyboard. My early 30s, had a mini mat that was boggled by my ex. So I love playing volleyball and basketball, but no time for now.
All right, so I'm going to start the discussion by asking you, growing up, what was your life like growing up, as a young girl? And what was what did you think about love and all that romantic stuff?
Growing up was fun. I'm from a family of 8, mother, father, children 6. So I remember having this childhood play with my siblings, the willy, the change your style. It was fun. Back then there was this thing they call kuli. They make it from granite. So me and my other sister, we actually grinded it and mixed sugar and milk, and gave it one fantastic name. And we started selling, like we're making money then. So we're selling it and we're making good money. So, and my mom, she used to put food for us together. We the first three. And I'm a slow eater, so they always cheat me in the aspect of eating. So I devised a means. I got a plate. When my sister would take one spoon, I'll put in my plate. Then after, I'll just gingerly go and eat my food. So growing up was fun, and I was always dreaming of marrying a man that would love me, spoil me, treat me like the queen that I am, and all.
Okay.
So
all right.
that was that.
So moving on, how old were you when you met the gentleman who became your abuser, and how did you meet him?
I think I was much younger then. We knew him from, let me say, when I was 9, 10 years. He was a close family friend. He was also a man of God. So I was born and bred in the northern part of Nigeria, Kalancha. So he do come from Lagos to evangelize in my church. My dad is also a rabbi, a pastor. So that was how I knew him. He was a very close family friend. So I was much younger when I knew him.
So how much younger were you than him? How many years difference?
I said I was like 9, 10 then when I knew him. You know.
And how old was he? Yes, how old was he?
He was 17 years older than me. Yeah, 17 years older than me. So that's
okay. Okay, so did you look up to him as a, I don't know, a family friend or as an ebon? How was the relationship initially?
I wasn't even that close to him. I was always close to my dad. Like my dad is my ride or die. Okay. So my dad is my best friend. So I don't really have time for, children now. So I just like, that family friend has come, that evangelist has come. I'll greet him and go about my normal childish play and business.
Yeah.
So
how did that change? How did he then start showing interest in you?
Oh, there was no interest because I lost my dad 2002. So I was 12 years then. So the following year, that was 2003, he came to my mom. I was like, I want to help you I want to sponsor, like leave this weight from you. I want to sponsor your daughter's education. So there was no interest at all. He didn't even mention any. And me, I look up to him like a family friend, like in fact, like a father. So there was no interest whatsoever. There was no interest whatsoever.
So he came to meet your mom and said, I want to help you with the girls, financially sending them to school.
Yeah, that was 2003.
And then what happened?
I lost my dad. So my mom was like, wow, thank God I've seen a guiding angel. Like I've seen a helper. So you know what I say, family friend for years. My mom had this trust in him. And the fact that he's a man of God, the fact that he's an evangelist, she was so happy, like, So she didn't even think of anything that would go wrong. Like, this like a father figure is going to guide my daughter and all. So my mom agreed. As my mom agreed, he's based in Lagos. So we prepared for the journey. This was happening March 2003. So my mom followed us to Lagos State. She saw his house, a room and parlor self-contained. So my mom stayed for a week before she left back to Kabanchan.
Okay, so she left who? You and your sisters?
No, my mom just came with me. Okay. And the man of God, the evangelist, the family friend. So she was like, okay, even if you want to take care of my daughter, I don't know your house in Lagos.
Correct.
I don't know your house in Lagos, so I just need to come with you to be sure where you are staying, to be sure my daughter is safe. So that was the reason why my mom followed us to Lagos State. So when she saw it, I was like, wow, okay. Like I said, she didn't have anything in mind. Like this man has an interior motive. She never had such in mind. So she was just happy at Tango. And then I was in GSS 2, second term. Yeah. I did not do GSS 3. I did not do junior WAEC. But when he enrolled me in school, when they tried me, I was very good academically. Like, wow, this girl is okay. So I started SS1. So that was that.
Okay, so you started to live with him. You went to school.
And like I said, when my mom stayed for a week and she left, the following day, he raped me.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm to call that rape, I'll call it defilement. Like, I'm glad I can talk about it now. I was screaming, I was shouting.
Take your time, take your time.
It was a traumatic experience for me. It wasn't easy.
I'm so sorry.
I never imagined a man I trusted so much and looked up to like a father would do that to me. I had no one to talk to. I knew no one in Lagos, no one to call, no family friend, no one. I was screaming my late dad's name. I was calling my mom. Nobody came to my aid. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Take your time. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Do you want to take a break? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Wow, the first day. So then what did you do? You didn't think about calling your mom? Did you call your mom?
Like I said, I had no telephone.
Okay, this was
I had no telephone. I don't have any, I don't know anybody in Lagos. I don't know any friend. I don't know no one.
And after he finished, was he apologetic? What happened?
Apology my foot. He wasn't apologetic.
Wow.
He wasn't. Like, just imagine the scene, blood all over the bed sheets, my clothes on. I'm glad I can talk about it now. Then I couldn't, in fact, no one knew. My family just knew this year.
Wow.
Was not able to tell anybody for 19 years.
Take your time.
So it continued for 8 good years that I stayed with him.
8 years.
It continued from that 2003, he defied me till I got to 18 years. The rape continued for 8 good years. So when I closed from school, I was in secondary school then, I wouldn't want to come home. Like, I'll be scared of the night, like this again. So I was taking pills, he was giving me pills so I won't get pregnant. So like, I don't want to spoil my name, I'm a man of God. I don't want anybody to know I've defied you and all. That was that.
Okay, so that happened for 8 years, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, 2011, he told my mom his interest in marriage. All this while, my mom, when she calls, the only way I communicate with my mom is through his telephone, or when he's traveling to the north. I will write a letter, and he must go through the letter. So I'm not allowed to even tell my mom what I'm going through. If he goes through the letter, he doesn't like what I wrote, he would tear it and like, tell me what to write. So if I want to talk to my mom, it has to be through his phone, and he has to be there. This man I'm talking about is then I was really scared of him. If I just hear his voice, I'll be shaking like this. So
he was controlling.
He was a control freak. He was a control freak. He threatened to kill me if I tell anyone about the defilement. So I could not talk. I was scared. Like, I know he's going to do it. So that beats and abused me mentally, emotionally, and all. So 2011, he told my mom his interest in marriage. Then my mom said something to me. You know, mothers, they have this feeling. They have this, how will I put it? Intuition, thank you. So like, are you okay? I said, yes, I'm fine. She said, no, you are not. Are you sure you are okay? I said, yes, I'm fine. So she said, okay. He has said his interest in getting married to you. Will you marry him? Do I have a choice? If I say no, I know what is awaiting me. So I didn't want to like lose my life at an early age because I know he's capable of doing what he said he would.
How old were you then? How old were you?
Let me see, 2003, I was 13, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's I was 21 years old, 21 going to 22. So I finished school 2006. My grades were very okay. So I told him, what about the university? He said, you're going to sponsor me. I was like, you're not going to university. I'm not sponsoring. Like, why? He said, he gave one kind of excuse. You're too pretty. Men will start chasing and all. I was like, but that was not the agreement with my mother. And unknowingly to me, he told my mom that I'm in school. If my mom calls, she said, she's in university. They don't allow them to pick calls. I just found out before my mom died. I found out about all this. He's a manipulator. He's a liar. He's a narcissist. In fact, it was this year I even had to read about a narcissist through my elder sister. I said, wow. So I was married to a narcissist. I never knew. He controls everything I do. Like he's a controller. He's a manipulator.
So going back, so 8 years, he asked for your hand in marriage and you had to agree because he was controlling everything.
Reluctantly, I agreed. I had no choice. So,
yeah. So what happened then?
Yeah, he sent his elder brother to my village. He came to do introduction. Then when my kinsman mentioned the money for bride price and all, the list to money to pay, that's what it was round figure 120,000. When she mentioned it, the brother called him. I said, the money is too much. I trained her in school. My kids were like, hello, if you didn't even bother to train her, someone else, God will use someone else to train her. And this is SS1 to 3 we're talking of, not even university. So you're like, nay, he's not paying. My kinsman said, okay, you have done the introduction. Whenever you're ready to marry, you come and do it and pay the bride price. He just wanted to jump and pay the bride price. My kinsman said, no. So he got angry. And when this was happening in May, April/May. So when we came back to Lagos, mind you, I'm living with him. When we came back to Lagos, my mom went back to the north with my siblings. July, 23rd of July, we did white wedding. Do you know none of the church members knew that he did not pay my bride price? Because he threatened me not to tell them. So, 23rd of July, 2011, we did our white wedding. So, that was that.
And then, so you started living with him as Mrs.
I wasn't even happy with the Mrs. because I knew what I was going through. So I was Mrs. So I was like, Jesus, my dreams, my childhood daydream of marriage, being lovely and all, I was thinking of getting married to a man who would love me, who would treat me like a queen, who would kiss me, wake me with a kiss and all, hello. A man who would tell me, princess, it's time to wake up and all. It was crushed, it was crumbled. I was living a nightmare. I never knew love. I said, God, is this how marriage is? I was never loved. I was treated lowly like, in fact, more lowly like a servant. Sorry, more lowly than a servant. So I had a miscarriage before I had my first son. After the wedding, I started having kids. So I had a miscarriage before my first son due to the abuse, the beatings from this man. I had 10 miscarriage before my second son.
10?
Yes, ma'am, 10 miscarriage before my second son. And I have 6 more miscarriage before my daughter. That's a total of 17 miscarriages. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Please don't apologize. I'm so sorry. I really am.
17 miscarriages. Do you know that even with pregnancy, this man beats me? And on many occasions, I slept outside our gate on the bare floor. I never told anyone. I had this diary where I write out things. Every of his abuse. The diary was my best friend. I'll write out in my diary. I will encourage myself. I'll play my keyboard. I love and live music. That was my solace. That was my escape. So even in pregnancy, I'm not allowed to take a nap. Can't even sleep. I'm not allowed to say I'm not feeling fine. I'm not allowed to do anything that makes me happy. I'm not even allowed to play music. I'm not allowed to dance to the music. I'm not allowed to play the keyboard. I have to do it like he did, not if when he's not around. I'm not allowed to jog. I'm not allowed to do anything that makes me happy. I'm not allowed to exercise. Hello, this man was controlling every aspect of my life. But the moment he said, your mom should not call you, your sister should not call you, your family should not call you, I said, no, you are, in fact, this is too much. I can't take this anymore. I'm not that child you took years back and you were controlling. I'm a grown woman.
Before you go, let me ask you a question. So all this time he was in church, he was a leader in the church, and nobody knew what was going on.
Nobody knew. He was the general overseer. I'll come out, I will smile, I will preach. I have my bachelor's degree in theology. I went to pastoral school. In fact, the PFM meeting, I'm the one that go to represent the church. So I'll just come out, I will smile, I'll preach, I will sing. Nobody knew till 5 years ago. I told 2 women, in fact, not even me, he was the one that told them, 2 women from the church. They knew about the abuse. But before, they never knew about the abuse. They just know that we have issues, and he will call them and they will come and settle, and they will tell me to be obedient and all, blah, blah, blah. My family never knew about the abuse.
Wow. You know, a lot of what you're saying, I relate. I was a victim as well. You know, the control, you know, not being yourself, not allowing to be yourself, and the secrecy, and, you know, hiding the abuse from family and loved ones is very, very common with victims of abuse. So there's nothing there that you said that is quite surprising. So, okay, so let's move on. So he then became the GO. You were living this life of, I guess you were deceit. Everybody thought everything was really.
Yeah. Everybody was looking up to me, Mommy Gio.
And were you counseling people in marriages as well? Were you giving people advice?
Yeah, I was. He was also counseling. So I'll just go to my room and I'll cry my eyes out. And I'm like, God, nobody knows what I'm going through. They don't know how hard it is to pretend like you're okay and you're not. I come to church, I praise God, I sing, I counsel them, I tell them, love your husband, respect your husband, blah, 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 and all. I pray for them while my marriage was a mess. So just God that knew what I was going through.
And then so moving on. So what was your relationship like with God? Were you able to pray? Did you do all the fasting? Because I remember when I was going through mine, people said, you're not fasting, you're not praying enough. So I'll pray harder. They say you're not fasting, I'll fast harder. Did you have that sort of pressure from the church, from the people that knew? Maybe the
2 women that knew, in fact, their reaction shocked me. They told me that I'm not submissive enough. I have to be a submissive wife. And you know what they used against me? What will people say? You are a pastor's wife. What will people say? What will the church say? What will the public say? And I was like, yeah, what will people say? Imagine stupid me. They were like, you're not submissive enough. You have to be submissive. I asked them one simple question. Assuming I'm your daughter, because these are elderly women. I said, just assuming I'm your daughter, will you advise me to sin, to stay in an abusive home where I'm being battered and beaten, where my mental, emotional health and physical abuse, everything is in question. Like my sanity is in question, I'm losing it. I'm just trying to hold the grip of my music and all. And you're telling me to be more submissive? Do you know I was working like a house help in my own house? They told me that if anything my ex wants, I should do it. Even if he wakes me around 12 in the midnight and tell me to cook, I should cook it. That is the duty of a submissive wife. In fact, they tell me, in fact, what are you preaching? Shebi are preaching, Shebi you go pastor school, the preacher. Sorry for using preaching. So you have to do it. I was like, wow, really? This African mentality of kill yourself is to show you are submissive. It's really demeaning.
Okay, so because of time, so rolling on. So then what happened? What happened towards the end that made you, I know you left recently, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
before we go to your exit, what about the children? So you had how many children? 3?
Yes, ma'am. I have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl.
Okay.
My cuties.
And they witnessed what was going on?
Yeah, on many occasions, they witnessed abuse. And I even come to him on many occasions when he's in a good mood. I'm like, this thing we're doing, it's not nice in front of these children. Because I try to avoid any form of abuse in their presence. Like I say, it's affecting them mentally. But a narcissist doesn't give a damn. A narcissist can trample on anyone just to get his results. Be it your children, be it whoever. As long as he achieves his results, as long as he comes out carrying in the air like I'm the winner. So the children witnessed the abuse. And my ex, his verbal abuse is top notch. You'll be questioning your very own existence. So he was expert in all the beatings, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the mental abuse, the verbal abuse. He was top notch, So the kids witness it.
Because, as women as well, we hear a lot of victims that will tell you they're staying because of the children, not knowing that we're damaging the children more by staying. Okay, yeah. So then I guess the big question is, how did you, or why did you decide to leave, and how did you leave?
April this year, he stylishly deceived me to the village in disguise of paying my bride price. So I said, okay, let's go so you can finally pay the bride price. Because that was like my mom's last week before she died. I lost my mom last year.
This was 19 years after you met him. He wants to pay the bride price.
He wanted to pay the bride price. So, and all this while he has been trusting me that the day I will run away with this case, you will not know. I was like, no, it's just annoyance and no. I'm going to get another wife, blah, blah, blah. So when we went to the village, 21st of April, they paid the bride price. I wanted to tell my kinsmen about the abuse, but his brothers held a meeting and told me, no, don't tell them. They begged me. And as a good wife, I am, if I'm to use that language, I said, okay. So they paid the bride price. Then 2 days after, they locked me up. Locked me at the police station in their village, said all sorts of lies against me, bribed the police. I slept on the bed floor for 2 good days. No clothes, no changing of clothes, just that one cloth I was wearing. No food, no water, and I had ulcer. So when that very day I lie on the floor of the police station, that was that I looked up to him and said, no, God, this is not marriage. In fact, I've been fighting for 19 years to make this work. I said, no. This is uncalled for. My life is on the line because I attempted suicide January this year. But remembering my case, I said, he's not worth it. No man is worth dying for. No man. I said, if I go, what will happen to my kids? If this man can abuse me, I've been in this abuse because of, to protect my kids. Who will now? He will not face the children. So I made up my mind. My other sister, God bless her soul. God bless her. Sorry, she's not there. God bless her sweet soul. TPL, Gloria Ibanga. So she has been there for me, like she's my solid rock. She's my backbone. She will call. She will encourage me. She will talk to me. She will talk some sense into me. She said, are you saying what I'm telling you? We've been telling you to leave and you are like trying to protect this man. You are saying because of the children, you want them to go with the father and the mother. Look at now, they've locked you up. And I was still in the village when I heard about Osinachi's death. That was also a trigger. I was like, no man is worth dying for. If this man can lock me up, who knows his next agenda? So that was when I made up my mind that if I go back to Lagos, I'm leaving this abusive home. It's not worth it.
So what happened? So then you went back to Lagos?
No, ma'am. When they bailed me after 2 days at the station, I was forced to sign a peace treaty. Like for 10 years, I'm going to be of good behavior. I'm going to be a submissive wife. On top of battering and abuse, The police were there, I signed. Then they said I should stay in the village for 3 months to show that I'm a humble and obedient wife. At first I said, what about my children's school? This is not time for crying out loud. What about my business in Lagos? Because all these years, when I started business, like 7, 8 years ago, I was taking care of everything, financial aspects in the house. I was refilling the gas, I was buying water, I was feeding, in fact, I was feeding the family. So I never mentioned it to anyone. That was my part. I take it as my own part. Let me be contributing, at least I'm doing something. So they said, no, I have to stay. I said, fine. Even while I was in the village, he never brought money for upkeep till I drained my account. Then I started calling my family, my other sister played a very big role in helping to feed me and my children while we're in the village. So,
wow. And then what happened after 3 months?
I didn't stay up to 3 months, man. Before, I was bailed on 26th of April. Then 24th of May, he came back and he went out. I don't know where he went to. He didn't even tell me he was coming back to the village. So when he left, I said, okay, let me quickly go to the market and get drugs for my 2 kids that are not feeling fine and buy some provision because my other sister sent money to me. When I got back, I got the shock of my life. I did not see my 3 children. I asked my mother-in-law, where are my kids? And that she does not know. I went to the stepsister because my father-in-law married 3 wives. Where are my 3 kids? I called him, he's not picking any of my calls. Yeah, in fact, before all this drama, he blocked me on WhatsApp. So I called all his brothers, hey, where are my kids? So what he has threatened me with, he has finally done it. He abducted my kids on 24th of May. You see. So someone now told me that when I left, his own mother called him on phone and said she has gone to buy medicine, or come and pack the children. He carried both because I was watching that, they both the dirty clothes and went to God knows where. So I threatened to go to the station. The family were telling me, calm down, calm down. Maybe he went to Mr. Base with the children. I said, what? People cannot deceive me. I'm not a child. That was how he told me to calm down, not telling my kinsmen about the abuse. And you locked me up. Now you want to use my brain again. I just found out that the family, they're very manipulative, just like my ex. I said, no. If I wait 24 hours, I don't see my children, I'm going to the same station where he locked me. I will report that my kids are missing, and I'll go to human rights and also lay my complaints. So when I went to the station, I made entry. The following day, I went to the human rights, and they summoned him and his mother to come on the 8th of June. So by reason of going to human rights, the family were very angry with me. Why will I go to human rights? Why will I go? I said, I don't know the whereabouts of my children. The daddy is not picking. I don't know where they are. Called in Lagos. They're not in Lagos. So what are you telling me?
Okay, because of the time, so I'm going to just round up. We're still going to come back to you at the end. So how did you leave in about 2 minutes? How did you actually exit with the children?
No, is it me or him?
You're not with him any longer, right?
Yes, I'm not with him, but he's with the children. I told you he ran with them. He's with the children, so I'm still pushing for their custody. Okay, so that was our new barrister, Olumide, God bless him. Okay. So we are pushing for my children's custody, and I pray God will see me through because they are my joy givers. They are the reason why I'm holding on, and I believe that at the end of everything, at the end of every dark tunnel, there's a light. So I can't, if these 3 children, you never followed me to hospital for any of those children. I never knew any love from this man. If I'm in contraction, the bed was I would hold the bed. That was my moral support. Thank God it was not a wooden bed. I would have broken it. So The family got angry that I went to human rights to report. So on June 11, they chased me from their family house. So even I've made up my mind to leave, I said when I go back to Lagos. So they actually helped me. Oh yeah, pack your kaya. So I was left with nothing, no shelter, no children, no business. It was when I came to Lagos against all us, July 3rd, I heard, in fact, not heard, I saw with my own eyes. He went to Google my minimat, packed every single thing. That was how heartless this man was. I thank God for my life today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. And you are so, they've managed, you have a beautiful smile, considering what you've been through. You have an awesome smile. So thank you. Just stay there because we still have questions for you. Fumi, are you there? Fumi.
I am.
Hi, Fumi.
Hi.
Okay, so I'd like to go over to you now. Welcome.
Thank you.
For agreeing to be a guest on the show today. So my first question, even though I can't see you, is
you can't see me because my video is on.
It's the wrong Fumi. It's Fumi Johnson that you're supposed to pin.
Oh, okay.
She's pinned the wrong person, that's why.
Right.
Yeah, okay, great. Hi.
Hi.
So, wow. So first of all, I mean, I'm sure you heard her story.
Yes.
That's trauma on another level. I mean,
it is.
What sort of trauma would go with that sort of abuse that she's experienced? I think that would be my first question.
Well, I mean, to be honest, trauma, in a sense, trauma is trauma. There's not specific types, but the impact of that kind of abuse will be extremely traumatic. And I was just in awe when I was listening to her and watching her. And I don't know that I could have stood under all of what she was saying and what she still continues to go through. I mean, I'm not sure that many people know, but about 30% of domestic abuse starts or gets worse in pregnancy. So when I heard that aspect of it, I wasn't surprised at all, because in a way, to the abuser, it's almost like they've, something else is fighting them for control. Children, even their own children, are a threat to them. And so the violence either begins or gets worse in pregnancy. And, just the emotional trauma of being beaten down every day, of being diminished every day in yourself. And then the secondary trauma coming from his family, coming from the church. My heart is always heavy when I hear that kind of judgment being put on women, that you're not submissive enough, you're not fasting, you're not praying. And I really commend her for asking those women that, if I were your child, would you have given me that advice? Often, unfortunately, women can be the worst gatekeepers of abusive behavior. I don't know what it is. And this notion that I should die so that the church is not disgraced. I should continue to be abused so that the appearance of religion is maintained, because this is not what Christ died for. This is religion, man-made religion, and rules and regulations and things like that, because the Bible says it. The Bible does not accept violence. All of these people who tell us you're not fasting, you're not praying, the Bible does not condone violence. It says it in Malachi that you have done violence to the wife of your youth. I will not regard your sacrifice. So it tells us straight away that he will not, God does not tolerate that. But it takes a lot of courage for a woman to go against everything she has known, everything she has been taught by the church, to say, actually, no, I don't accept that from you.
Yeah. Okay, so two questions at the same time, because I think that, so why, in your opinion, when you're the professional, so why do people abuse, and why do victims find it hard to leave? Because I know statistics say, I mean, a victim will try 7 times to leave before they actually leave. I know how many times I tried to leave, I didn't leave. So why do people abuse, and why do victims find it so hard to leave?
Okay, so why do people abuse? I would say the short answer is because they can. They are enabled to, by society, by the structures in society, by the way that abuse is spoken about, the way that it's reported, the way that, just the way it's viewed. They do it because they can. But the longer answer is it's power and control. It's, often people will say, oh no, I say he because majority of the perpetrators are male, but obviously there are some female perpetrators as well. People will say, oh, he was angry, or he was stressed, or he abuses alcohol or drugs, or he has mental health issues. None of those things are causes of domestic abuse. Those things can exacerbate, i.e. make it worse, but they are not the cause. The cause is that a person enters a relationship and they are seeking to control. They're seeking to obtain power and control another human being. And they do it systematically. Nobody goes on a first date, gets a slap and says, this is the relationship of my dreams. No, they do it systematically. So what I would say for the benefit of women or people on this call, I would say red flags. There are certain things to look out for. The most, for me, I think having done this work for quite a long time now, the thing I would say that women should be most careful of when they are just entering into a relationship with a person is a person who love bombs. And what do I mean by love bombing? I mean this person who you meet them on a Monday and by Wednesday they're declaring undying love. They're buying you an engagement ring. They're saying they want to marry you in the next couple of weeks. They want to meet your friends. They want, just relentless. They're calling you 15 times a day, asking where you are, telling you that they want to see you all the time. Red flags. Yeah. And unfortunately, some people will say intuition. As a believer, I would say the Holy Spirit. He's never silent. If you have unease in your spirit, you should pay attention to that. You should pay attention to that. But unfortunately, what happens is because we are such social creatures and because community is important to us, when we feel that unease, most of us will go and talk to someone. We talk to our mom or we talk to our friends or, whoever. And then somehow or the other, they talk us out of our unease. You go to your friend or you go to your mom and you say, he's always calling, and when I go somewhere, he always turns up. They're like, but he likes you now. Okay. Yeah, relationships happen on a continuum. There is complete dependence, codependence on one side. There is complete independence on another side. And somewhere in the middle, there is interdependence. That is a healthy relationship. I don't need you to make me whole. You don't need me to make you whole. We have chosen to be in relationship. We have chosen to do life together. So when you have that codependency, because there's a real thing with, people say, why doesn't she leave? Trauma bonding is a thing. Trauma bonding is a thing because conversely, the person who is hurting you the most, because they have cut you off from everybody else, they're the only person you have. And so this pattern, so sometimes people will say, oh, but he doesn't abuse me all the time. And those times, I really wish that we could have those times forever. And if I just do more, if I am just more submissive, more obedient, then we will have those times forever. Don't be misled. That is all part of the abuse. That so-called honeymoon period, it's all part of the abuse. It's not separate. It's all part of it. So that it leaves you constantly feeling like you're on a roller coaster. You don't know which person you're going to meet today. You don't know which person you're going to meet in the next hour because it doesn't matter what you do because it's not about you. It's about them. You can't control the abuse. It's not about you. It's about them. They decide what you are going to be abused for. They decide when you will be abused. They decide how much abuse. They decide the nature of the abuse. It's not about you. No, and that is the lie that people have been told, that your behavior is the cause of the abuse. Therefore, you feel that your behavior can stop the abuse. It can't, because the thing that is okay today, tomorrow the abuser will tell you that it's not okay. Absolutely. So you can't control it. So you need to pay attention. If there is a disquiet in your spirit, pay attention. Slow things right down, because people can deceive you for a little while, but they can't deceive you for a long while, which is why the love bombing is so important. They want to lock you in quickly so that they can begin the work of separating you from everybody and dismantling your mental health, because that's what it is. Our human instinct to survive is very strong. If someone comes to hit you first, you won't take that. You will try to defend yourself. So they do the mental work first. They criticize your appearance. They criticize your qualifications. They criticize how you raise the kids. They criticize how you cook. They criticize how you clean. And because, unfortunately, a lot of us as women, our self-worth is bound up in this notion of, I should be married. I should have kids. I should maintain a good home. because it's so bound up in that, we immediately start to try and correct things. He doesn't like my food. Let me go and take a cooking course. Let me go and do this. He doesn't like how I clean the house. Let me stay up until 3 a.m. cleaning the house until it's spotless. He doesn't like how I'm raising the kids. Let me tell the kids to keep quiet. And you know, this is not to blame anybody. But you know, the truth of the matter is that children do not witness domestic abuse. Children experience it. They don't witness, they experience it, because to say that someone witnesses something is almost like saying, well, it won't impact them as much as the person that it is being done to. But for children, they cannot make the distinction. All they know is that these two people that they love more than anybody in the whole world, all things being equal, something is very wrong between them. So
and that
children,
would be my next, sorry for me for cutting you, that would be my next question, because we hear a lot of people say the reason why I'm staying is because of the children. And like you said, I've never even thought about it the way you've just said it. They are going through, if not more trauma than you, the victim, are as well, you know? Mm-hmm. So please go ahead.
Yeah, they are experiencing it. They're not merely witnessing, they're experiencing, and it comes out. They experience trauma as well. And what is worse is that oftentimes when people are talking about the abuse and what to do about the abuse, they very rarely will remember to talk to the children. It's almost as if the children are not, you know, once they're out of the situation, then they'll be fine. They're not fine. They have nobody to talk to. They have no way of making sense of what is going on. And God forbid they hear the perpetrator saying, you know, as perpetrators are fond of saying, you and your bastard children and all kinds of things about this. Children don't distinguish. Children are not able to separate out their sense of self from their behavior. So they just make the shortcut. They don't say, Daddy says I'm bad. They say, I must be bad. I am bad. And that follows them. It drives them. It's like a meta program that then just goes all through their life. And it's not a conscious thing, because it seems like they've pushed it down, but it's not a conscious thing. It then becomes internalized, but it drives their behavior. So I would never say that, you know, every person who experiences violence, every child who experiences violence goes on to become a victim or goes on to become an abuser. That's too, it's too simplistic. Not all of them do. But when you have experienced that on an ongoing basis, it increases the chances that that is the path you might take. It's not a blanket statement that says everybody does, but it increases the chances because you've not seen a healthy relationship modeled. You don't know how to do a healthy relationship. And that is why you find sometimes that people end up, in spite of everything, end up in a relationship similar to their parents, because chaos is what they know as a relationship. So they don't understand when a relationship doesn't have chaos. It's like, what is this? This is not how things were. So it's red flags, you know, someone who is always popping up. Even when you say you can't see them, they pop up. Oh, I just missed you. Someone who is always calling. Someone who doesn't respect your boundaries, in short. You say something, they ignore it. Someone who is pressuring you to move very, very quickly indeed. Someone who never accepts responsibility for anything. So even if they're recounting a story to you about somebody, it will never be their fault, always the other person's fault, you know? So those kinds of things, you really want to pay attention. You want to pay attention to how they talk to other people, how they talk about other people. All of these things, you know, because I do marriage counseling as well, what I say to the people that come, I say to them, I said, you should date for at least a year before you are talking marriage. You want to see somebody in every season. Yes. You want to see somebody in every season, a minimum of a year. Because as I said, anybody can pretend for 3 months, 6 months. A year becomes harder. You start to see more of their character. You start to see how they are relating.
And I'm happy that you said that, because we have a lot of young guests, you know, who are listening in, and some students. And it's very important that, you know, the red flags, like you said, because as you're speaking, I can now see all the red flags that happened in my relationship, extremely fast paced. But I I kind of thought he really cared about me. That was why he was doing all the calls and
Yes.
being and picking me up until it became smothering, which it
Yes.
did in the end. You know, I didn't have any space to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But because of time, I'm just going to ask you one final question. You heard Priscilla's story and a lot of people like us that have been through abuse. Can somebody really and truly recover from this sort of abuse?
You can. I'm not saying that it will be easy. I mean, I have an 8-week program that is designed to help you to be on that journey. It's not easy because what the perpetrator does is they cause you to doubt yourself in every way. They cause you to doubt your mental health. They cause you to doubt. They just dismantle you. It's like seeing a building just being dismantled, but it's possible. It's hard, but it is possible.
So with a lot of work, a lot of counseling, a lot of therapy.
I think so, but you know, it's not easy, and you need support on the journey because you're going into things that are very difficult. And a lot of women now, hindsight, they now start to judge themselves and criticize themselves. And they're like, why didn't I know this? Why didn't I see this? You know what? Whenever you wake up is your morning.
Absolutely.
Whenever you wake up is your morning. You didn't know it then, you know it now. You know it now. And remember, you were, for want of a better word, you were targeted by an expert, a person who knew what they wanted to do. You had no idea, you had no defenses against that kind of person. And so you need to give yourself grace. What I would say to any woman who has been through it, any woman who is going through it, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. It doesn't matter how long it takes, just give yourself grace. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to slip back. You're going to feel like I was such a fool. Forget that. Just give yourself grace every day. Just grace, 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 until you look back and you think, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. I'm not where I was. Because the worst thing of all, in my mind, is when you've actually physically left the abuser, but you are still mentally in that abusive relationship. And if you never take the time to try to heal from it, then he's won. He's trotted off to the next victim, but you are still stuck with him.
Thanks, Femi. Thank you. Please stay with us.
You're welcome.
So
Yes.
I'm now going to go over to Barrister Olumide. Are you still there? Are you with us?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay. So, I mean, I know you and I started to talk about the statistics and all of that in abuse, but listening to her story and especially the church, how the role the church played in her situation, because you obviously know her, you know, it's just alarming that that sort of thing could have gone unnoticed.
The problem here is, well, for someone like me, I've been born again since I was 9 years old. It's almost 40 years now. We were born again when it wasn't fashionable to be born again. We were punished. I remember when I was in school because I was, you know, it wasn't fashionable. Not now. You just wave holy hands and you come up to the altar and people give you. Then it wasn't that. So I've grown in God to know Him for myself. This year, I work with the state CID, that is the State Criminal Investigation Department. By May, we had arrested 7 general overseers in Nigeria, here in Lagos State, for sodomy, for rape, for sexual assault. And these are things that, because of the office they occupy, people give them absolute trust. One of the pastors, one Elijah, Prophet Elijah, sodomized 3 brothers, 14, I think 14, 12, and 9. After sodomizing them, he told them to now sodomize each other. You know, the same mother, you know, that is enough to kill a woman. All her 3 sons Why? Because he said there was a spiritual problem, to bring them to church and told the mother to leave, they would. And the issue here is that when people realize that pastors and men of God is just an office. I am a man of God. You are a child of God. God, you see, God is no respecter of persons. And it tells you, now I have two parish pastors of a particular, the largest church in Nigeria in the cell for domestic violence and abuse. People should understand.
They would say it's the devil, right? That's what we hear. It's the
No,
devil.
what happens is that, like, a group of other pastors will just storm there begging that, do you know that there's a pastor? He's a parish pastor, Pastor Ekpe Young. I make no apology mentioning his name because I'm still going to do worse. Was a teacher while being a pastor. He was arrested for defiling a minor in the school, in the primary school he was teaching. He was taken to Kirikiri. He was in Kirikiri and later released, and still a pastor. 3 years after, he attempted to rape the nanny. The wife got pregnant, they had a baby, she employed a nanny. He attempted to rape her. She got angry, went to the police station to report, called her family, they took the pastor, and all these pastors just came, and he's still a parish pastor till today. And these pastors knew that this guy had defiled a minor, attempted to rape, and all these are recorded. And so now, then he was domestically violent. So now, if they don't know, you can't tell me that you are the general overseer of a church and then you keep appointing pastors without test, without trial. You want to open a parish, you just take a worker, an usher from here, to, make him a pastor and you put him there. People that have no qualification except the Bible that they carry, they become guidance counselors, they become financial consultants, they become child therapists, they become, what? We have one whose wife is 8 months pregnant and his daughter is also 4 months pregnant for him in the same house. So this is the problem where you tell, when people just lose God to religion. You see, it is not Christianity, it is religion, because God did not send you. God told you what? To worship me, not worship them. 2020 showed the world that you can worship God without going to church when we were on lockdown for 6 months. In fact, some people tell me they were closer to God then than they are when, you go to church, because of all the drama. This thing gets to their head because of the work I do. I'm very popular because I'm on radio, I'm on TV, I do this, I do that. And when people older than me come and they call me, daddy, Eshegon, you start calling me daddy, I quickly tell you my name is Olumide. Those things get to people's heads. You see, you kneel down, I'm going, you put something in an envelope, you give to me. Why? I have been a lawyer for a while. In 20 years, in all the cases of domestic violence and abuse I have done, I have not collected a dime from all the victims. I even use my money to help. I have not collected. And you can't imagine the number of cases I have handled. Priscilla here is just one of the very brave ones. What she has been through is, but by a general overseer, not just a pastor, a general overseer. So this is the problem, where people are attached to, no matter what happens, they will not. Some women, there's a case that we're handling, the pastor told the wife that they should only have sex on Tuesdays and Fridays because those are the days there's a spiritual problem in the house and they're only permitted to have sex twice. The husband said, how can you can't, and the wife said, no, if it is Tuesdays and not Thursday, she won't open up. The pastors have gotten so bold that they're even regulating the sexual lives of people. Wow. It is, I'm not anti-pastor. Do you understand? I also have a pastor. Well, I had a pastor. I left the church because of the church's policy on domestic violence and abuse. You keep telling people to go back. Let me tell you something. You can't go back because a snake only sheds its skin when it to become a bigger snake.
Absolutely.
So what are you going back to? What they cannot tell their own children to do, they will tell your own children to do. When you cannot dissociate your common sense from, it's like religion is the suspension of common sense.
Thank you.
Let me not.
Thank you. Because of time, we never have enough time. So I'm going to, Fukumba, are you there? Can we take some questions and comments? Hello, Chooks, are you there? I haven't been following this. Does anybody have any questions at this stage for any of the panelists or comments?
Can I do? I don't know. I couldn't raise my hand. Sorry, Joyce. It's Bumi here. Thank you so much for inviting me to this. I've never been on any of them. You've always said, Bumi, join. I'm so delighted to have joined. And it's so powerful, especially the lady that, spoke. Sorry, I can't share my video. I'm not in the right position to share my video right now. However, I'm so sorry. But quick one, the lady that spoke about counseling, she mentioned something about have about a year with someone, the quality of the length of time. Can I just please add to that time is no measure of knowing someone. What you have to know is that you have to have different scenarios with that person, i.e. travel, spend 2 weeks in a hotel or 1 week somewhere, go to Ibadan or wherever you are. Do you understand? But time is no measure. You can be with someone for 5 good years, but because you're in the same environment, you would see them behave the same way. So take them to different environments to see how that person reacts. So i.e. to your family, to your friends, to restaurants, to church, to a school, to, go on a sightseeing spree, go for shopping, you know what. And then you get, so it might even be 6 months, is you'd delve into someone's character rather than being with that person for 5 years. I think that's all I wanted to add, actually. And thank you so much again for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
All right.
I'm sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. What I said was time, and then I said see them in different seasons.
Yes,
so it's not just the passage of time, as she just said. It's different seasons, different scenarios, as she said. It's true. Passage of time alone is not, because if you're in a long distance relationship, for example, time can go very quick. Time can go, but you don't see them in any different sort of way.
Correct. Thank you. Okay, so next we have Oyenola.
Yeah. Well, I say good morning now. It's after 12, so it's actually good afternoon. Sincerely, it's a blessing being on this platform, and I quite appreciate what the barrister has done. It's unfortunate that okay. Okay. I am a pastor to the glory of God, but some of the things I heard from the barrister is quite painful. And I won't say unexpected. Why? Because he himself even gave the reasons why some of those things happen. And what is the reason? Just bringing people into an assignment that they know little or nothing about. Now, going to the real issue, I want to make a statement that will be a bit sensitive, but I pray the Holy Spirit will guide all of us into the truth of this statement. I put it to you that everybody is capable of melting out one form of violence or the other to the other. But the only underlying factor that will not make some not to do that is when you've been able to find out what God actually said you should take dominion over. Because naturally speaking, we have been wired to take dominion. According to the book of Genesis chapter 1, especially from verse 24 through to 26. Now, the issue with men that violates or abuses women, or women abusing men, is because of this. But what God actually wanted us to dominate over, most of us don't know or don't understand. And that was even the case with the issue of Cain and Abel. You know the story.
Okay,
I don't want to
because
go
of
back
time,
there.
yes, you have to be very quick.
Because of time. So I want to appeal to everybody on this platform that we should try and make efforts to understand the level of dominion that God has actually ascertained to every man, so that we can be taking dominion over what God wants us to take dominion, and not be taking dominion over what we are not supposed to. Because once that happens, we have the potential to abuse in any form. So that's just my contribution. I pray God will help that woman.
Can I ask a question, please?
Please do.
Please, I don't understand the meaning of dominion when you are putting in between husband and wife.
Okay. Now, it's a pity, this thing is a bit technical, but let me say it this way. You know, even in the scripture says the head of the home is the man. The fact that the scripture says the head of the home is the man does not necessarily mean that the woman is a numbskull that does not have anything to offer. So if the man fails to understand that the fact that the Bible says you are the head does not mean that the woman should now be subservient in everything and that she's not useful for anything. No, but you as the man, you have to understand what aspect of the relationship of your own life, either as a minister, internally or secularly, that you are expected to take charge. That's what I'm talking about. So if you fail to understand that, you will turn your energy to the wrong direction.
Okay. Madam Joyce.
Yes, sir.
Is our data, you can't drive us and say time is up. We are still here. Okay. I have been doing this for over 20 years. And I dare to tell you that I've been to places, we have buried people, we've been to places normal people cannot be. We have seen things, the worst that man can do to another, man's inhumanity to man. The problem I have is when marriage is taken to be a Christian concept. Marriage is not for Christians only. Muslims get married, atheists get. As time before Christ came, before we became Christians, there was marriage. Do you know that there are some animals, about 64 animals, that have an exclusive partner for life? Even the animals have their own kind of courtship and marriage. The imperial penguin, they have only one mate for life. The bald-headed eagle, the coyotes, they have only one mate for life. So marriage is not even a human institution. We have it even in lesser animals. But when you begin to think scriptures, when you look at the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, it doesn't tell you who to marry. It doesn't tell you when to marry. It doesn't tell you how to marry. There is nothing in the Bible about dating, how to do it. The Bible just tells you in Proverbs 18:22 is he that finds a wife finds a good thing. The funny thing about the book of Proverbs is that Solomon described women in with three words. You have the maiden, the concubine, and the wife. When it came to a life partner, he said wife. He did not say maiden. He did not say concubine. What separates them? You go to Proverbs 33, it talks about the virtuous woman. There was nothing about domination there. The Bible says, submit ye one to another. You cannot tell, you see, submission comes naturally if there is love. A woman would listen to you when there is love. Your dog will follow your command when you show care and love to the dog. How are people able to train lions? How have you been to the zoo? Because of the love of the zookeepers. Any animal will follow love. So it is a no-brainer that love is essential if you want to have followership. So it is not a Christian doctrine. It is not even anywhere to do with religion. A heathen will come and take your wife. You see, that idol worshiper will come and take your wife if you don't show her love, and he shows her love.
Very true.
So it is not a Christian concept. It is a human concept. Here, if you don't love her, leave her. The problem we have is that a lot of us were raised in abuse. When you check it out, once you are raised in abuse, you grow up to have the propensity for abuse. And that is the problem our mothers did. They said they would stay in the marriage because of the children. But unfortunately, they should have left because of the children. Because when you raise children, like Madame Fumi said, she said, children don't witness, they experience abuse. And people don't know that children are the primary victims of abuse. You and your husband, you chose each other. The children had nothing to do with your choice. You brought them here. There is one thing you need to understand. Every animal, while they get pregnant, they go and get a place. They dig a hole, they create a nest, a place where their children will be able to have. The only animals that will breed children in war, that will breed children in abuse, in breaking of heads and bottles. It is only human beings that will do that. No other animal. Some animals, do you know, even naturally abort when there is danger. They will not bring their children here. But you are here, you are being beaten, battered, and bruised, and then you get pregnant. Have you noticed that a lot of times, people with the most number of children have those that are in abusive marriages?
Absolutely.
They keep reproducing in abuse. Check it out. You having a good marriage, at least you are okay. You're having 2, 3 kids. Somebody who they are breaking bottles every morning, cursing and calling on their ancestral lineage, cursing them, you would see them with 7 children.
Very true.
And then those 7 children will go out and marry our own children. Those children that have been raised and trained in the militia of abuse, they would now unleash them on us. Then our own, because of our doctrine, would remain, because God hates divorce, would remain there and now breed another set of children that will be trained by the abusive husbands that came from another marriage. You see, that is how it spreads. And then we have a pandemic of abuse.
Barrister.
Thank you. Thank you so much. No, we have to move on that because of time. There's so many people that have questions. So if
sorry, Joyce, can I say something, please?
Please go ahead.
There's in all of the discussion that we have, or we are having now, about abuse, and I'm very grateful that we're having more and more discussions about it. There are 2 that are still not really spoken about. One is financial abuse. And financial abuse in many ramifications, not allowing you to have a job, behaving in such a way that you lose your job, taking control of your money, you know, that is one type. Those are some ramifications of financial abuse. But in my experience, and before I started working with women directly, I prosecuted, like Barrister Olumide, I prosecuted cases of domestic violence. The number one, if you like, hidden form of abuse that is not spoken about is sexual abuse. That seems to be the last barrier that women will ever admit to. Who wants to stand up and say the person they said vows with is raping them on the daily? And with that sexual abuse, we're talking about not allowing you contraception. We're talking about maybe causing you to abort or causing you to have miscarriages. We're talking about the abuse that leads to miscarriage and abortion. So sometimes what we see on the surface is not all that there is to it. When we see a woman who has a lot of children in an abusive situation, they may not have been her choice. She may also be experiencing serious degrees of sexual abuse where she's not allowed contraception. You know, it's just endless. But that is something that many women find just even the worst to talk about. So they'll talk about everything else, but they will not talk about that. So we have to bear that in mind as well.
Thank you, Fumi. Thank you. Okay, Kemi.
Sorry, DVALI, before this mic passes, so that I would, I really love the way Madame Fumi is handling this. Madam Fumi, do you know that financial abuse, that is when your husband tells you not to work, tells you to sit down at home, takes over your source of income, do you know it is a crime, actually? There is a Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act in Nigeria of 2015. Section 12, subsection 1 says a person who causes forced financial dependence or economic abuse and is liable upon conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or to a fine of 500,000 or both. It is and this is what I told everybody on my program to go and download Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act of 2015. It is in Nigeria here. They don't know. And then that is the reason. Pregnancy is how you control a woman. When she's pregnant again, she cannot leave. Where would she take pregnancy to? Who would house her? Then you beat her. You just see repeated pregnancies. And then where will you go with 5 children? And they will tell you, where are you going?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, DVALI.
Absolutely.
I'm gone.
But what I would say, Barrister Olumide, is that you, like me, and any other lawyers on the call, we know that the law is a blunt instrument. We can only prove what we can prove. We can only go with what the victim is prepared to tell us, and we fashion a case around it. Or in other instances, if we have evidence from other people, we can fashion a case without her consent. I've dealt with I remember one case where not only did the woman retract her statement, she came to give evidence for the perpetrator. But, you know, these things happen. These things happen. I said to her, I said, you know what? I have other evidence. And if you want to give evidence for him, that's your prerogative. But I'm going to press ahead with the case I have.
Okay.
The law is a blunt instrument. The law is a blunt instrument. It can only do what the law can allow it to do. And for the time when I had my epiphany was when I understood that my idea of success as a prosecutor was very different from the idea of success for a victim. She just wants the violence to stop. She's not interested in whether you get a conviction or you don't get a conviction, or he does time or he doesn't. In fact, most times, if he's looking at custody, she's now thinking, how am I going to eat? How are the kids going to eat? How is he going to come out when he's gone to prison and learned new tricks? She's not interested. She wants the violence to stop. That's it. She wants to be safe. She wants her kids to be safe. She wants the violence to stop.
Thank you. Thanks, Kemi. So what I'm going to do, because of time, is I'm going to take all 3 questions at the same time. So Kemi, please go ahead. Then Bumi, then Yetunde, in that order. You have some.
Oh, and there's a person in the chat who wanted to ask a question but didn't raise her hand. So if you just have a look in the chat. Well done, Joyce, putting this together. Absolutely fantastic. For me, brilliant. And Lumide, I'm so pleased that you stepped in when you did, because I was I had a little bit of, like, I didn't really understand where the pastor that spoke earlier was going, but I'm so happy you jumped in there. My question and comments is for Priscilla. All I have to say is you are such a beautiful soul. It is so sad that you went through what you went through. I shed tears when you mentioned what you said happened to you. 17 miscarriages is unbelievable, but we thank God that you were able to give birth to 3 beautiful children. I know you're fighting for your 3 children, and by God's grace, you will get those children. So kudos to you, and I pray for you, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Kemi. Thank you very much. Okay, Bumi, Ola. Please go ahead.
Okay, hi. I just want to say thank you to all of you. And again, I was also emotional. I was emotional because I didn't even know that this goes on like that. And my thing is, I'm a very creative person. I'm actually looking for one of you that will set up something. I will find the funding to maybe beat those men up, do something to those abusers. Nobody's saying, I'm saying, I can't imagine any man trying to do this to me. I just can't imagine. And those who know me there will tell you that, because I'll be strategizing on how I'm going to kill him first before he gets to me and do the second one. I am so sorry you all went through this. Honestly speaking, I wish I have one institution that can work with the likes of Olumide and any other institution that would, just go and deal with that man, so that the next victim, when they see that you've dealt with this person, the other people will not do it. I'm so sorry. Honestly, I've read about this. I know I've known Joyce. I don't really attend this because I'm always extremely busy. I'm so sorry I'm not showing my face because it's just supposed to be my day off, which I don't usually do. I don't take day off as well. I'm a woman that works. And this particular situation right now, I'm actually looking at it. I'm thinking, okay, let's deal with the men. Solution. Just go, is there an institution in Nigeria looking after those abusers and crazy, and then name and shame them? Something. They need to get out of the system. It's just not right. So, I just want to say thank you to all of you that are standing for these women. Joyce, well done to you. Olumide, congratulations. Well done. You're a man. In fact, I respect you so much, and I think all those churches need to be checked out, because this thing is related to power as well. When they have so much power, they think they can abuse anybody as well. So, again, my proposal is still there. If there's anybody that is happy to let us set up how we'll deal with those men, I am happy to lead that. If you're afraid to do it, my name is Olatokunbo Mustafa, but I'm happy to lead it. I kid you not, I'll beat one man. Once I beat that one, then the other one will know not to do that to other women as well. So once again, thank you all. Priscilla, God bless you. Olumide, for the support you're giving, God bless you too. Thank you so much. That's just my contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Truly. Okay, Yetunde now, please go ahead. Yetunde. Okay. Ola.
I think she's
Hello?
dropped off. Yeah.
Hello,
Yetunde.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes. Go ahead.
Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yetunde Koka. I'm so pained. I'm really, really pained. I
Ola,
thought
hang on. Ola, hang on. Wait. Just wait a minute. Okay, Yetunde, go ahead.
So I was saying, I'm really pained, Joyce. I was desperately trying to come in on time, logged in at 5 to 11 my time, only to see that you guys had started an hour earlier. So my first thing is, please just state, UK time as well, because I forgot, totally forgot. So I've missed most of the discussion. I'd just like to say, from what I gathered, I didn't hear Priscilla's story, but I can imagine. I can imagine how devastating it must have been for her. I would like to comment on religion and domestic violence in Nigeria. From my experience, religion has enabled all these men to do what they do. It's particularly Christianity. I don't know about Islam because I'm a Christian. Religion has enabled men to get away with so much. It is so bad now. Everything is in the name. A woman is in trouble, you run to the church. And each time you keep on running to the church, and they can't do anything about it because of the tithes and all sorts of things that they're getting from these men. And the pastor talking about dominion over women, maybe I just shouldn't comment. But Olumide, my learned friend, excellent analysis of, if you treat a woman nicely, if you treat a woman the way you should treat a woman, you don't need to dominate. You don't need to make her subservient. She will work with you. She's supposed to be, a man and a woman is supposed to come together to do things. It will come naturally. So, religion has done a lot of disservice for us in Nigeria. I tell you, that's my opinion. It's not, the Christianity is not practiced the way it's supposed to be practiced in Nigeria. So that's my two pence. It's such a shame I missed the majority. Joyce, well done. Kudos to you and kudos to the team. Thank you very much.
Thanks, and I will send you the recording that you can listen to.
Excellent. I'd love that. Thank you. And one last word. Priscilla, well done. God will bless you, bless your children.
Amen.
You will do well. You will do well. You are strong, and you need to be strong. Just believe in God and have faith and just forge on, okay? Well done. God bless.
Thanks, Yasmin. Thank you. Okay, we have Ola next, and then Amanda, and then we'll take the question in the box.
Afternoon, everyone. Morning from here. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Yeah, I'll do video. I don't mind showing my face. Yeah. Actually, I am a victim as well. But it all started, it's just like, you know, when you come in from your parents as a newly married person. For me, I keep telling people, as somebody that is getting married, you're going to your own home to build a home. I tell people it's only a mad woman that wants to destroy their home. You're going home, to make your home a better place for your husband and the children you're going to have. So, and when you go with that type of intent, the man thinks you are a fool. I'll tell you my story. It started with me having a good, I was okay, looking after the family, doing stuff. But it got to a stage I was now practically doing everything in the home, paying the bills, everything, even going on holidays, I pay for everything. But it got to a stage I looked at myself, I said, so what is he using his money for? That is when it all started. And this is somebody that went behind my back, saying all sorts about me to my sisters, my family, everybody. And I never knew. It got to a stage my sister-in-law called me and said, you come here. I said, yes, ma'am. And you know the culture we're from, Nigeria, Yoruba, you reverence your elders. She said, what do you do with your money? Because your husband has come here to say you don't do nothing. I said, excuse me, pardon me. What do you mean by that? This is somebody that I give money to because my sister-in-law and my husband, my ex, I call him ex now, I have nothing to do with him, truly. I give him money. Do shopping, you know, do shopping. And he goes there and say he's the one that is putting the money down. So I told my sister-in-law, for the next 3 months, if nothing happens, they know it's me. But if we come shopping, they know it's him. And truly, after 3 months, she called me and said, you did say this. I said, yes. You know, men think you're stupid. No, it's not about having dominion. Like I keep telling people, it's show the woman love. Carry the woman along. Explain things to them. If you give me 1 naira, I'll bless that 1 naira for you as my husband because you've carried me along and you've showed me the love. Come in, talk to me as your wife, not your friends. It's supposed to be a two-way thing. I talk to you, you talk to me. We look for solutions. But no, they don't see it that way. They think, oh, you're a fool. So now it's for I don't know what that pastor was saying. Truly, I was upset when he was talking about dominion. I was really, there's nothing like dominion here. You have to, it's reciprocal. When you show love, I show you love. And women, like I said, you are not a mad person coming into your marriage. You want your house to be a home, not a house, a home. And we want you as the head to carry us along. So please, I appreciate all of you. This is so nice. It was my sister that introduced this to me. I've been listening all along, but this one was touching because I've never heard about dominion.
Thank you so much, Ola. Thank you. Thank you. Before I take the last 3, there's a lady in the chat who says she wants to ask a question. Do you want to go ahead? I don't know the name. Kemi, can you see the name?
Yes, it was. I'm just scrolling through. Maybe we'll come back to that. Maybe you take up the ones who have raised their hands.
Yes, then Ade.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning. It's morning from here. Thank you very much, Auntie Joyce. Priscilla, God bless you. God bless you. I mean, I wasn't here listening to you. It's almost as if you were just echoing me, my miscarriage. I was in tears. I was shaking. It was a trigger for me. It's 6 years down, and I didn't realize. And then listening to the learned people on the thing, I'm realizing that, oh my God, I think I need to. I'm just going to have to. I'm just going to start. I'm just going to start. The things about the children. My children are now 24, 21, and 18. But I can see everything you said, Miss Fumi, about them. I can see everything. I'm actually shaking just saying this, and my excitement is that in Nigeria, there are some people, there's some kind of awareness that's being brought up. It took, when she talked about suicide, I attempted suicide like practically every day of my life if I could. And the last straw that brought the camels back was I was going to, that place where they said that man jumped off a 3rd mainland bridge? I actually drove there with my boys. One was already in Canada. I drove 2 boys, and I was going to do it. My doctor called me. She said the Holy Spirit asked her to call me. That was what stopped it. But everything I had, I put into flight tickets, and I took off. I just had that window because my son told me, Daddy is coming to take us. And something snapped in my brain. And I think that still snapped in my brain until today. I don't think I'm particularly very sane right now, but I mean, I'm just beginning to see the effects on my children. I didn't even know I thought I sheltered my children. I did not know they knew anything until, they're talking. And so Priscilla, for me, that you are there and you're able to stand up to this person, I'm like, kudos to you. I thank God for your life. And I know that you will get your children. You will. I don't know how how I can reach out to anyone. I mean, there's I think they have opportunities for counseling here, but I haven't heard people speak about it. They tried to get me through counseling here. I haven't met anyone that has spoken like Ms. Fumi has spoken, Mr. Olumide, and everybody else has spoken about getting this kind of help. I haven't heard it before like this, and I'm probably going to be reaching out to Ms. Joyce just to even know how I can get this kind of help. Thank you very much for this. It is true. The thing about it, and that's why I used to tell people, it's not I tell you they can't see the scars. The financial part, the sexual part, I can tell you for true, nobody speaks about it. This is the first time I've ever actually been able to say that was an aspect. And Ms. Joyce, I'm sure, is like, she didn't know all of this. She's known me like practically all my life. But I couldn't tell until today. I still haven't been able to tell anyone because again, the person is prominent. The person is, even when we're leaving at the airport, my children kept on looking behind because I was thinking, if they flash my name at the checkout, what if they see the name? What if somebody calls my husband and says, did you give them permission to travel? What am I going to do, right? So because of that, and that's another reason why I'm not showing my video, because of that, I am I'm here. I'm safe. I'm a citizen here, but I'm still scared stiff. When you talked about the mental separation, I am still scared stiff. He calls it when I see him on the thing, I'm still shivering and shaking with fright. It's 6 years since I ran away. And it took not just that attempted suicide, it took an armed invasion of my home and 10 men completely abusing me for me to snap. And so it wasn't just my husband that I gave. And when you talk about it's true, it's like everybody does the nation strips you. It's like the abuse is not just that singular person. It now extends to the church. It extends to the so-called policemen that's supposed to be in charge and things like, So yeah, thank you. I'm supposed to be going to work, but I had to wait to finish this. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I will be reaching out, Ms. Joyce. I need help. I really need help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Amanda. I'm so happy that you spoke up. Thank you so much. And Fumi, I've just sent you a message. Can you read it for me?
I have, and I've responded.
Great. Okay, so we're supposed to have ended half an hour ago, but we'll go on till 1. So we've got 6 minutes. We've got 3 hands up. So Sweetest, please go ahead. Make it short and brief, followed by Ade, then followed by Olaomi. Very brief, if you can. Thank you. Go ahead. Unmute yourself. And apologies, everybody in the UK.
My hand is up, Joyce, Nike.
Nike, okay, I can't see. Okay, Nike then after. Sweetest, please go ahead quickly, 2 minutes. Okay, she's gone.
You need to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. Unmute. Unmute yourself.
I've done that.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
So I want to say good afternoon, and to my sister, she's actually my younger sister. I want to say, yes, always know that you're loved. And to Barrister Olumide, I want to say thank you for what you've done, for what you're doing, and what you're still doing. So, Mrs. Fumi, I don't really know.
She's frozen.
Yeah, I think she's frozen. Maybe
God
go
bless
on
you.
to. Oh, okay.
Thank you. All right, now we go on to Ade, followed by Olaomi. 1 minute, please.
Yeah,
and then
Olaomi was the person in the chat, so we've got
all
her.
right. Ade, please go ahead first. Okay, not there. So we're going to Olaomi. Please ask your question. Please unmute yourself. Okay, not there.
I think she's having difficulty. I'm not sure.
Put her hand out. Okay, Nika, do you want to go ahead?
Hello, everyone. I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, Joyce. Well done. I think I've only missed one of these series, and I think this is what, the 5th or the 6th? I'm not sure. But every time I'm on the platform and I hear these stories, they're just so heartbreaking. But what makes me happy is that people have been able to leave. I just want to say thank you to the professionals, especially Barrister Olumide, because it's been so practical about everything. No sentiments, no emotions. And one thing he said that I really, really liked was the fact that in the church, I'm a Muslim, I'm not a Christian, but I mean, in the church, people who are not capable are being made pastors. People who are not capable to give advice are being able to give advice. And basically for me, it seems like the abusers find somewhere to run to. And at the moment, because the church is so open to everybody, they run there and hide behind this pastorship thing that they really are not. I mean, most abusers tend to be bullies. And when you take them head on, you find that they're just these wimpy little men that don't have anything that can't do anything proper. For Priscilla, I want to say, well done. Thank you. Your story to me seemed like this man actually followed your family and tried to groom you guys. It's either he wanted to pick one of the girls, groomed you. I mean, if he took you at 13, he knew that he could manipulate you into what he wanted, and it took so long for you to be able to walk away. What I would like to say to you is stay strong, do things for yourself. You'll get your children back by God's grace. But let him not feel that that's what you want, because I have the feeling that's what he's doing. He's holding those children because he knows that those are the most important things to you, the most important people to you. But, let him see you looking good and confident in yourself. After a while, he would have to let your kids go. But Barrister Olumide, thank you. For me, well, thank you so much. It's nice to hear practical things and the practical advice that are being given to every woman. It's hard to walk away. I've known Joyce for almost all my life. We were in England together. I didn't know, most of us didn't know she was going through anything until years and years later. And you keep thinking, oh my God, why did I see this? Her partner was a very good friend. We didn't know he was that kind of person. So it's also really hard for the people on the outside. But hopefully, as these women get support and help, they'll be able to talk about this more. But Joyce, well done. Keep this going. And, I know it's helping a lot of people.
Thank you, Nika. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who once again has been here. But my greatest thanks are to Priscilla, an awesome, survivor. I don't call them victims. You're a survivor. You have an amazing smile. You're strong. And I'm sure with the support of Olumide, you will get those children back. Thank you, Fumi, for all your advice, practical advice. there's something you said that I didn't even know I did, you know, a trigger for me. You know, my heart was racing when you were speaking. I was like, oh my God, and this is how many years later I've just realized that, you know, so thank you so much. My brother Olumide, I cannot thank you enough, because it's very rare that you get a man who understands women. And if more men were like you, I think we'd all be in these blissful relationships worldwide. So thank you once again. And thank you to the audience who attended, to the young, I know we had a number of young girls on the platform. I hope you all learned something. More importantly, the red flag, so that you don't even, you know, spend time with somebody who is going to abuse you. You don't have to go through what some of us went through. Thank you all once again. I really appreciate that you were all taking the time out to come and, you know, to be with us today. If we have one more question, one more comment, it will be Priscilla. In a second, what would you say to anyone who is experiencing abuse today? What would your advice be to her or him? Because we keep saying her, we know that there are men that are being abused as well. In a minute.
Yes, okay, thank you, ma'am. Like, my narcissist ex was threatened by my success. 2016, a family friend gave him 200,000 to give me to support my business. And to my surprise, I never knew. I later found out from the same man when he came back from Denmark. So my advice to people going through abuse, please, don't go back. When you come out from the abuse, don't go back to what broke you. Prioritize your mental health. Create space for things that make you happy. Create space for things and people that make you happy. And don't go back to what broke you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. On that note, we'd like to say thank you everyone for attending. For everyone who joined late from the UK, I apologize. I should have stated that it was West African time. There is a recording. I will ensure that we send it to you. Thank you once again to our guests and to everybody here. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, George.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.